staying in control. What's going on, everybody? Look, I wanted to take a moment and think about a time in probably all of our lives, but I remember when I was a teenager and I was getting ready to start driving. Now, if you were like me, we got our learner's permit and we were so excited to get behind the wheel. But as all of us know, getting your learning permit has a little bit of a catch to it. You get behind the wheel, but your parents get in the passenger seat. I can still remember it. I was excited and I began to start my driving journey, but my mom and dad got in the passenger seat, and because they were still in control of the journey, they would tell me where to go, what exit to take, what speed to go, and ultimately they still controlled the journey. Well, as I begin to think about the context that we're living in now, I think we all can think back to those teenagers who were driving for the first time. But the reality of it is something else was controlling the journey in the passenger seat. And I can think to the fact that all of us might be looking at our lives right now, and while we are behind the wheel of our lives, CNN and Fox News may be in the passenger seat, or maybe the opinions and panic of friends and family is in the passenger seat, or maybe even our own anxieties and rampant thoughts are in the passenger seat and controlling our journey a little bit more than we like. Maybe they're controlling our emotions. Maybe they're controlling our thoughts. Maybe they're controlling the pace and the things that we're feeling and the fears that we're exhibiting. But I want to encourage you today to be reminded that God wants us to stay in control, to remember that our hands are on the wheel and that we can control the course of our life. Proverbs tells us in chapter 16, verse 32, better a patient person than a warrior, and one with self-control is the one who takes the city. In other words, God places a premium on staying in control of our emotions, but in addition to that, we can expect reward for that. We can expect to be conquerors and victorious when we can stay in control of our thoughts, our feelings, and our lives. In addition to that, we see another thing echoed by God in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. It says, no temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. All of us right now could be tempted to let our emotions get the best of us. But the question we should all ask ourselves is, are we staying in control of our emotions, or are our emotions controlling us? Or maybe another way to think about that is that passenger seat again. Are our friends controlling our emotions? Is media controlling our emotions? What temptations are surrounding us that may be compromising our ability to stay in control? I want to remind you today that God is still faithful. And because God is still faithful, we can step behind the wheel of our lives and continue to course correct and take the direction that God has given us to say, hey, I know where I'm headed. I know that the world seems like it's going crazy, but God is still in control, and I still get to make the choice about where my life goes today, tomorrow, and forevermore. So I want to give you 3 tips really quickly on how to stay in control. Number 1, manage your exposure. Set boundaries in your life about what you will be exposed to. Maybe you take your notifications off for a certain period of time, or maybe you tell your friends and family, hey, I'm not available from this time to this time because that's my time of prayer, meditation, or just reading a book, something else to take my mind off of the realities that we're seeing. Or maybe you give yourself boundaries on social media so that you're not overrun with negativity and pessimism. Whatever boundaries you set, manage your exposure. Another tip to staying in control is exercise gratitude. Take a moment daily to say what you are grateful for. In a world right now that is constantly focused on all we're losing, it's important that we remember what we've retained, that there's some people in our lives that we can appreciate, that there's some health that we can appreciate, or maybe you're just appreciating the things that you've overlooked in a rushed and busy life these last seasons of your life. And I want to encourage you to continue to remain in a spirit and focus of gratitude. And then lastly, I want you to own your happiness. Don't forget that happiness is your choice. It is not to be outsourced to media. It is not to be outsourced to friendship. It is not to be outsourced to the outcome of this disease, but it is something that God gives you ownership of. So own your happiness. Make a choice today to say that God has still granted me with life and breath and air in my lungs. God has given me the movement of my limbs. God has given me children or a spouse. God has given me great friendships that I can FaceTime with. God has still given me a lot, and I can own my happiness. I want to encourage you today to hop behind the wheel of your life once again, and no matter what jumps into the passenger seat, I want you to be reminded that you are in control. God bless you. We love you, and we're praying for you.